Today is all about the minis, mini decor pieces that is, and I've got 3 farmhouse style mini decor pieces that can be used on a tiered tray or in a little vignette anywhere in your home. So cozy up with a blanket and a warm beverage and let's get started. For my first project today, I'm creating a little Christmas topiary. I started with one of the small clay pots from Dollar Tree that come in a pack of 3, and then I discovered that a pool noodle from Dollar Tree fit perfectly into the pot, so I cut a 6-inch section off to use as the base for my topiary. Now I'm using a knife to trim my pool noodle in the shape of a topiary. I wanted it to be narrower at the top but not come to a point like a Christmas tree. So I'm just skimming along the side in a diagonal pattern from top to bottom. We're going to cover this so the shape doesn't have to be perfect. Once I was satisfied with the shape, I gave the pot a quick coat of the ink color by Waverly and the pool noodle a coat of the moss color, also by Waverly. We'll be covering the topiary with moss, but this ensures that the pool noodle won't be visible even if there are a few gaps in the moss. Next, it was time to glue the moss down. There are 3 different kinds of moss available at Dollar Tree, and for this project I'm using the Reindeer moss, which is a lighter, softer version of moss. I worked in sections using my hot glue and gluing down clumps of moss until the entire topiary was covered. And while I'm gluing, I'll mention that today's challenge is hosted by Corie from Crafted by Corie. I'll have a link to her channel as well as the playlist in the description box below, so be sure to check out her channel and then hop to the playlist to see what everyone comes up with. Once I was done gluing, I used my scissors to give it a good trim, and then I went back again with my glue and the moss to fill in any spaces. I recently hit another milestone with my channel, 2,000 subscribers, woohoo! When I first started out, I thought I would be lucky to get 100, so I am blown away by all the support I've received, and as a thank you, I'm going to do another Amazon gift card giveaway, so be sure that you're subscribed to my channel and be sure to hit that notification bell so you won't miss it. Next, I decided to add some red berries to make this look like a pretty little holly topiary. I used a red berry pick from Dollar Tree, and I believe there are lighter ones and darker ones, and these are the darker red ones. The one thing to keep in mind is that these berry picks from Dollar Tree are styrofoam on the inside, so when you're breaking apart the little clumps, there will be white spots. I was just strategic with my placement and glued the white part down on the underside so that it didn't show. And here it is on my counter. I just love how this turned out, and the options are pretty endless with how you could cover the topiary, or you could even just embellish with a different berry or smaller flower, and the piece would look totally different. For my next project, I'm using a pack of these small foam dice from Dollar Tree. And a little trick I use to cover things that have a design on them, especially contrasting colors like a bright yellow and black, is to do a base color of a solid black color. For this, I just used regular black acrylic paint so that I didn't waste any of the more expensive chalk paint. Then I went over that with white paint. Today I used the plaster color by Waverly, and because I applied the black coat first, you couldn't see any of the original dice marks, so it ultimately took fewer coats of the white to get good coverage. I wanted these blocks to look a little distressed, and I could have sanded down the white paint to reveal the black underneath, but that's a little messy for me, so to save the mess I used my dry brush to apply my black wax to the blocks instead. I moved up and down around the sides of the block and then just chose one direction for the top and bottom to make it look like it was real wood that had been sanded down along the grain. Then I used ribbon to make the blocks look like packages. I first glued a strip of ribbon around the block in one direction and then another strip perpendicularly around the package in the other direction. For the bow on top, I didn't actually tie a bow. I cut a piece of ribbon about 6 inches long and glued it in the center diagonally. Then I just looped each side around to look like a bow and glued them down in the middle. I hid the glue spots in the middle by covering it with some more of the red berries. And here they are with my little Christmas topiary. And again, the options are pretty endless with these as well. Cover them with a different base color or use a different ribbon, and these would look totally different. I absolutely love the black and white and red together, and the berries make them a great companion piece to the topiary. Okay, so we made it to my final project, and for this one I'm going to try my hand at making a little mini reindeer. I had these 2 pine cones from my yard left over in my stash from last year, and I thought when I put them together that they looked like a little reindeer, so the idea was born. For the legs and neck, I'm using some small craft twigs. I got these from Amazon because they're really uniform in size, but if you have more patience than me, you could always use twigs from nature instead. And I figured out approximately how long I wanted the legs to be. My scissors wouldn't cut the twigs all the way through, but they were able to score them enough so that I could just snap them off along the line. I used hot glue to attach the legs to the body. I just put a bunch of hot glue in one of the spaces between the layers of pine cones and then stuck the legs in, and then I added more hot glue on top. For the neck, I glued 3 small pieces of twig together and glued that to the body and then the head to the neck. For some reason, I didn't capture the part where I glued the head on video, but there's nothing much to that part, and you'll see the finished guy here on my workspace. For the antlers, I used cuts from this sparkly branch from Dollar Tree. You'll see that the small pine cone I used for the head sort of flared out at the bottom, so it was really easy to glue the antlers to that part, and they weren't angled like the legs had to be. I decided to embellish him with a little wreath around his neck, so I used an evergreen sprig from Dollar Tree and more of the red berries. I guess the red berries are what tie all the pieces in my little vignette together. And here he is with the other 2 pieces, and I actually think he turned out much better than I expected, and I'm super happy with how these 3 projects all look together. I think they're going to look great on our bathroom counter during this holiday season. Thanks for joining me today. If you found me from the Minis playlist, I'd love for you to stick around and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with my content. Like I mentioned, I just recently passed 2,000 subscribers, and I plan to do another Amazon gift card giveaway that you won't want to miss. So stay tuned for that. See you next time. Bye.